to treatment that you give before someone gets to regular medical attention. Disaster first aid is the ongoing treatment that you give them when you can't get them to medical attention because roads are blocked or they're overwhelmed and can't get to all the neighborhoods to take people out right away. All the hospitals in this area are on or near the fault, okay? So they've been built, to code. The newest building in the hospital in Alta Bates, I saw them put it up. It was pretty impressive. Giant shock absorbers, to absorb the shocks, and they slide this way too. And I was actually in one of the buildings when we had an earthquake, and that's what it felt like the whole building was sliding back and forth and up and down, like you were on a pogo stick. Now, I strongly suggest if you're really interested in being as prepared as you can be, I mean, things always happen that you don't expect, but you should take a CPR class and a comprehensive first aid class. And you should have a first aid kit, not only in your house, but also in your car, because you might be caught away from home when the earthquake, the big one, happens. A lot of people say, I don't think I'll be able to deal with this when it happens. How will I react? It's amazing what you do when you have to do. And you'll be better prepared after taking classes like this and the other ones that the city offers. People often ask me how I can do what I do in the ER. Why don't I just fall apart? When I see some of the things I do, it's my training, It just clicks in and I do what I have to do, boom, boom, boom. Afterwards, then I sit down and take a deep breath and sometimes, fall apart or think about things. But when it's happening, because I've been trained, I just go into action. And hopefully this class and the others that the city offers will give you some of that confidence too. Okay. Now the American College of Surgeons has divided death due to trauma into 3 phases. Okay. One is death that occurs in minutes, and that's from overwhelming, irreversible damage to vital organs. Phase 2 is in hours. Okay, that usually occurs from excessive bleeding that hasn't been controlled. And we're going to talk about methods of controlling bleeding in the class today. And phase 3 is in days or weeks. That occurs from infection or multiple organ failure. Buck Helm is an example of a phase 3 death, the guy they pulled off the Cypress structure. And we'll talk about crush injuries and exactly what happened to him and why he died later on in the class. Now, first aid can save 40% of the people who usually would die in phase 2 or 3 from excessive hemorrhage or from infection or organ failure days after. So if you can get to them and render immediate care, you can save lives. Now, what do you have to do after the earth stops shaking? And you check yourself, of course, first to make sure you're okay. Everyone usually looks for their family to make sure they're all right. You have to assess the situation, find out how many are hurt, and you need to find a location to treat people, or once you've stabilized them where you've found them, to take people to, so that when the rescue workers do get to you, the area is accessible to them. So it has to be accessible to motor vehicles, okay? And it has to be a safe area. Always look up too to check, make sure there's no wires or trees that might be coming down, or pieces of buildings that are unsecured and might come down in the aftershocks. Most neighborhoods have a park. That would be a good place to look for, or a schoolyard, a school field, a place to gather. If your neighborhood hasn't already planned something like this, then they should consider that. Now, to decide who you treat first, who to go to first, we use a method called triage. It's a French word. It means to sort. The French first devised this system during World War I to deal with battlefield casualties. The main thrust for triage is to do the greatest good for the greatest number of people, okay, with the resources that you have. OES, the Office of Emergency Services, uses a triage system called START, S-T-A-R-T. It stands for Simple, Triage, and Rapid Treatment. We've simplified it for this class, and this will help you to help rescue workers know who needs to be taken into the hospital first. The first way to tell who you need to go to first is to ask people to move from one spot to another. And those that can get up and walk over, they can wait. Okay, the ones that are still down on the ground are the ones you go to first. I stands for immediate. Now the rescue workers use colored tags. Red is immediate, yellow is delayed, and black is dead or nothing can be done. If you don't have colored tags, you can use the letters I for immediate, D for delayed, and then the word dead for those that can't be helped or who are already dead. It's a hard choice to make when someone is so badly injured and there's nothing you can do for them, to leave and go on to someone else that you can help. It's very difficult, especially if it's a family member. Of course, you're not going to leave them. But when you have limited resources and you're in your neighborhood trying to help do the most good for the most number of people, you have to make those choices. And we'll talk about that as we go. People like that in the last category would be cardiac arrest. Again, you can open their airway and feel for a pulse if there isn't any. Doing CPR when no one can get to you is futile. But if you want to try, no one's going to fault you for that. Okay? Total body burns is another area. They can be awake, alert, totally oriented, but with total body burns, they're not going to survive 3 days. Okay? And you make them comfortable, but there isn't a whole lot you can do for them except reassurance and making them comfortable.